Instagram, another raucous episode of NXT. Matt Camp is going to join me in a second. I'm Ryan Papola, excited to break down all things NXT with y'all. And there is a mighty amount to discuss. I'm going to check right off rip to see if Camp's here because we were just texting and we're both absurdly excited. I see him. We're at it.
There we go.
Yeah. You know, be good if I flipped it again. That's two times in a row.
Somehow that just happened to me
Look
as
at
well.
that. Oh, freebie for Maestros. What up, guys? How are you? I mean, really use you right now, by the way. Hello, Ryan.
Hello. I apologize if that just went dark for everyone for a moment. Technology eludes both of us clearly today. I think one of my many shoeboxes holding up this camera just made air. Salutes to whoever just got the free plug. Camp, what an episode.
Three giant men just beating each other up, which I love to see. Keith Lee, still the man, still limitless. I'll tell you what, not the takeover match we expected to see. Got moved up in the world. Would have been this week anyway, but we see it tonight as the main event. Keith Lee is a fighting champion, Ryan. I'm having like these like mid-'90s, early '90s flashbacks of people who are just like, you want to fight me for the championship? I am a workhorse. I will take on anyone of any size. Keith Lee had to do that tonight, and once again did it successfully, taking on two big-time opponents and coming away victorious.
Emphasis on the big, and I want to talk about both men who came up just short, but I want to emphasize also just short.
Yes.
I was watching with my roommate, and several times over we thought that all three guys had a legitimate opportunity to win. My note on Keith Lee, though, Matt, you want to know what I wrote? It's what I wrote. It's lengthy, so bear with me. Keith Lee, bruh. That was my whole note. Like, it's just, and I agree with every single word you said. It's, let's not, with everything going on and how everything's taking shape, let's not lose sight of the fact, as you just said, that that's a major victory that really genuinely could have seen all three men be victorious. That's a tough spot for Keith Lee to be in. We all know how triple threats work and how they function. He was, by the very nature of the match, in as much jeopardy to lose that North American title as he's been since he's won it. And as he always does, he showed just why he is, and I think both of our opinions, as rising a star as anyone in all of WWE today.
You know, I think we've talked a lot as we lead into the road to WrestleMania this weekend about who's been on that hot streak. And I always think back to that Survivor Series weekend, which was a big weekend for NXT, as we know. And we talk about Rhea Ripley a lot, and she deserves it. The win she got that week, moving on and defeating Shayna Baszler. But I think somebody else who really has ridden a wave of momentum coming off that week is Keith Lee. And that entire month, I feel like, Ryan, Keith Lee has ridden that, taking it all the way down to the wire with Roman Reigns, and then what he did against, showing up in that face-off with Brock Lesnar in the Royal Rumble. And we've talked to Keith Lee about this on the bump. We've talked about him, just talk about him in general. I've talked about him and with him about this. And you can feel that. You can feel this wave of momentum and the confidence that he continues to build. So when he goes into a match like he had tonight, yes, he understands the challenges and the opponents, and there's plenty of respect there. He might not, agree with the way some of those guys act sometimes, like Damian Priest, obviously.
Yeah.
But Keith Lee is supremely confident in what he can do, and that only adds tonight. My question to you, Ryan, is what's next for Keith Lee? Who is the next potential challenger for the North American Championship on NXT?
So that's interesting, and I want to before I get to that, I'm not evading the question. Dominik Dijakovic and Damian Priest, both. And then, listen, we already know this. This is well established. And I said this last time when I was on with Evan after NXT last week. Both these guys, man, just make me go, wow. I mean, again, everyone had their moments, and so to answer your question, to me, the easy answer, and it might be a bit of a cop-out, is that Dominik Dijakovic and Damian Priest are both going to say, hey, man, I had – if this was a one-on-one scenario, things could have gone differently. Now, Dominik Dijakovic has had that opportunity. They both had. I mean, but their performances tonight it's always so tricky. Do you have a name in mind? I do have a name I'd like to see that I didn't just mention, but I'm curious.
Hold on. Let me make sure I get this on. Let me get this on camera correctly. My guy, he doesn't lose. Let's go.
Yeah,
give it to Kushida, not give it to him. He has earned it.
He earned it tonight. I mean, earned it tonight, and as he has every week. That would have been the one name where if I was going off the board, I would have said. It should be noted that Matt Camp loves Kushida the way I love Sasha Banks. And so
this goes back forever. I was so happy when he came from Japan to NXT. He got hurt for a little while, came back from that. We're going to get to him, I know, in terms of what happened tonight after his match, but you put someone in the ring with Kushida, I don't care what size they are. I don't care if it's his size. I don't care if it's Walter going toe-to-toe with the NXT champion Adam Cole about a month ago. This is one of the most dangerous people because I think, Ryan, you see Kushida and you think of his size, and you see the guys he's been in there with, you think high flyer. Kushida is one of the most dangerous people in all of WWE. He has an MMA background. He can submit you. The hoverboard lock is ridiculous. He can do it to anybody. Ask Kyle O'Reilly, who is one of the most gifted technicians in all of WWE, what it's like to be in the ring with Kushida. Ask Bobby Fish that. Two guys will tell you, and the guy, everybody who's been in there, Rule Mendoza, Joaquin Wilde, they will tell you this guy is very dangerous and size has never mattered to him, which is why I'm so happy to see him get the opportunities that he's getting. But the next one that he has earned, to me, is the North American Championship.
No argument. And off of my point, even if there is discussions to be had with Mr. Regal and Triple H and who have you, that Dijakovic and Damian are still in the discussion, Kushida now is right in that discussion with the tip top of class of guys that are going to be aiming for the North American title. And again, to piggyback off of what I'm saying, and maybe to contradict myself, Kushida arguably is at the top of that list because for as impressive as Dijakovic and Priest were tonight, they ultimately did suffer a defeat, a close defeat, but a defeat. And Kushida is on as big a role as anyone on the black and gold brand. Let's get to it right now. I mean, that was a hard-fought contest and one that really probably could have swung any which way, but it swung Kushida's way as it often has since his arrival in NXT.
Absolute master in the ring. Doesn't matter, like I said, who he's in there with. Doing it against Joaquin Wilde. And I've said enough about Kushida, I think. I think he should be next up. There's some opportunity that he has earned. But once again, after Kushida defeated Rule Mendoza, what happened? After Kushida defeated Joaquin Wilde, what happened? Whoever these men are, men, women, I don't know who is under those masks, those lucha masks, that have shown up in this SUV. They've now taken Rule Mendoza away. I don't know if he was part of that group tonight. Who the heck knows? I don't know what happened to Joaquin Wilde. By the way, thankfully, our friend and
Mackenzie, I had the same thought.
She got out of the way. Thank goodness.
We texted her. She's okay.
We checked.
No, that was unsettling. Is the word for it. There's other. I mean, it's a bit disturbing. And like I'm sure you saw those lights go on the car the way I did. And you just know something bad's about to happen. I don't know what to make of it. There's a lot of things in NXT these days that I can't necessarily articulate. We got clocks, we got things like this. I don't think they're related, but there's a lot of eeriness around Full Sail right now.
So, I mean, it's I think it's eerie enough that you're in Full Sail with no crowd, which is the complete opposite sound of what we hear every single Wednesday night. So you have that. But, I do wonder right now, Ryan, are people trying to almost take advantage of a lot of uncertainty right now in NXT? Obviously, I think the two standards of me of NXT are Adam Cole as the NXT champion and Keith Lee as the North American champion. Even our tag team champions right now are separated by a giant body of water called the Atlantic Ocean. Stallion Pete is across the pond. We saw Matt Riddle last week. What happened? He is alone right now as the one half of the NXT Tag Team Champion. So, yes, there's Kushida, but there's a lot of things going on right now. We saw those clocks at the end of the show last week with Tommaso Ciampa. We saw him with, of course, Johnny Gargano last week. We saw him again tonight. Right now, I think some people are thinking there's a chance to take advantage of this uncertainty and maybe some voids and maybe they're saying, you know what, Wednesday nights are mine for the taking. And there's still, I think, more questions than answers right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to even try to pontificate on, the men under the masks or, again, the people under the mask. We really don't know. It's there's a lot of uncertainty. You know who adds to the eeriness in NXT right now? A man named Loomis.
Oh.
That was, listen, a dominant performance. But again, I don't want to be repeating myself, but unsettling to a degree, especially with less ambiance around. Yes. It was eerie. Again, it was just like there's only so many words to describe these things. It was eerie.
Dexter Lumis felt right at home. Just him and Jake Atlas in the ring and nobody else there. Jake Atlas, a lot of people excited to see him in NXT. I'm along with that. Coming from the West Coast, everything that he represents is tremendous. But, man, he showed up tonight. Good for him. Dexter Lumis is just one of those guys, Ryan, that you're scared to see. I'm unintentionally wearing, like, some of his color scheme here. I swear to God, I'm not with Dexter Lumis. I have nothing against him. But Jake Atlas came at the wrong time. And now I don't know what's going to happen with Dexter Lumis. Who knows who he might be connected to, although he feels like very much a lone wolf to me.
Very much so. You know what? And I promise I'm not trying to be funny here. I don't want Dexter Lumis to think I'm being because he scares me. But you know, even just like something small that I noticed. You ever notice Dexter Lumis's tattoos? They're just massive bodies of ink. Do you know how much painful that must be?
Yes.
To just get a massive body of ink on your arm. He's a bad man. He is.
I don't know why. Why is that a thing? Is he covering up something? Is he trying to hide something from his past?
I don't have a sufficient answer, nor do I want to speculate too much and upset him. But yeah, he was dominant as ever. I think in a lot of ways, you know, as things shift and change, he might thrive in the current climate right now. We literally saw a prime example of it this evening. So he is a force. That was my note on Lumis, a force. Like it's as simple as that. Keith Lee, brah, and Dexter Lumis is a force. We talked about
there's a presence about him. I think is the key. There's a presence. He's a big dude, which I think kind of gets covered up. But there's that presence there where he almost gets in your head before the match starts, and that can win you a lot of matches because your opponent is immediately taken out of it.
Totally. So I don't want to bury the lead on the next thing I want to talk to you about. However, we will go in, I guess, a bit of a reverse order. There is no such thing as moral victories, at least 9 times out of 10. Shotzi Blackheart, heck of an effort tonight. Dakota Kai advances to the ladder match next week. But I think it's a 1-1A discussion because Shotzi Blackheart defeated 4 of the best in the NXT women's division, and then Dakota Kai did what she has done since November, which has proved to be as resourceful and as calculated as any woman in all of WWE. But I think you can mention both things in the same breath and not feel inauthentic.
I'm going to start with Dakota Kai. Sometimes, Ryan, in a gauntlet like that, it's the luck of the draw, and she caught the luck. Everyone here trying to get their way back into that ladder match, that #1 contendership for the NXT Women's Championship. Who will that be? We'll find out at WrestleMania this weekend between Charlotte and the champion Rhea Ripley. But sometimes it's the luck of the draw. I am not taking anything away from Dakota Kai. Obviously, a little help on the outside as well. But when you put someone that good at the end of a gauntlet, it's going to be tough to beat them. And we'll get to Shotzi here in a second. But when they're that good, and they have a little help, and they have that big muscle on the outside, and they're mad that they are already in this match to begin with. If you would have told me Dakota Kai was coming out last, I would have said, guaranteed she's going to win that match, which is exactly what she did. Very dangerous now heading into that ladder match.
Totally. Especially, you would have picked her regardless, but you would have especially picked her if you were told that no matter who it was, that they had been there for roughly, I would guess, anywhere between 20 and 25 minutes.
Absolutely.
Like, you know, that was a long match. A gauntlet match by its very nature is not quick. I don't know if I'm ready to pick Dakota Kai to win next week, but she will, again, by the nature of that draw, that Shotzi Blackheart showed out against Dakota just like she showed out in victory against everyone else before that. But Dakota Kai did not have to put herself through the strain that Shotzi Blackheart did, or even if Dakota Kai had entered at number 3, in the gauntlet. We had Shotzi on earlier today with us on the bump, and I said to you after the show was over, she's just ready for everything. And was she ready tonight.
This is someone who in November of last year was still wrestling on the independents, and she shows up so quickly like she did. And really, Ryan, I think of the history of NXT from when you find out people have signed in NXT to when they actually get on TV and are on NXT and are on USA Network. I don't know if anybody did it quicker than she did. And that's a lot of massive names. I'm including Kevin Owens in there. I'm including Finn Balor in there. I'm including Adam Cole in there. These are massive NXT foundation players. And not only, Ryan, did she make the jump quickly, this is someone who was able to eliminate Shayna Baszler from the number one contenders battle royal a couple of months ago. Now, she did lose to Shayna after that, but, as we said on the bump today, that is a rare victory of some sort to get over Shayna Baszler where no one has been getting those. Right. That's what's so impressive to me. So there's the level of connecting with the audience and that NXT crowd, and if you could get them behind you as quickly as she did, that's gonna beat you and take you to another level right there. That's gonna really boost, I should say, not beat you, but boost where you're at. And the tank is fun, and that's galvanized the fan base. And she is now riding this. So yes, it's a moral victory without the win tonight. But this is someone who I believe will be challenging for that NXT Women's Championship sooner rather than later.
Yep, no, I agree. I mean, I even off of the passion that she is gaining with the NXT universe, I even saw that literally during the match. I had multiple people texting me going, "Wow, how great she's doing!" And she was on. They're catching up on the bump. That's so exciting that she's on today. She is really cultivating something that. Listen, next week will not be her week. She is not, but that. Next week is not the end-all, be-all in terms of her upward trajectory. It is. It will be a monumental win for now 6 women who have a chance to take on whether it be Charlotte Flair or Rhea Ripley. But Shotzi Blackheart has and I mean this in a positive sense, a long ways to go. She's got a journey ahead of her that I'm really looking forward to watching.
I want to see more of her, but let's pivot to next week. Who are you picking?
I said on Twitter with you about a month or so ago that I think that I think Tegan Nox will be NXT Women's Champion before year's end. I think it will be even sooner than that. I think Tegan Nox, especially after the events of the street fight with Dakota Kai, I think Tegan Nox rights a lot of wrongs, and I lean towards her next week. You?
I have to pick Dakota Kai. I think there was a small stumble there in not getting into this ladder match from the get-go. She's got the equalizer on the outside in Raquel. So I'm picking her. I just think you can't overlook how good she is.
Oh, yeah.
Just because of everything else going on, her attitude and all that. How good she is, plus that attitude. And, Ryan, the fact that she only had to defeat, while impressive, only one person. She didn't have to go through that entire gauntlet. So if you want to come out fresh out of a gauntlet match, that is what she is doing. That's what she's doing heading into next week. I am picking Dakota Kai. I think she will ride this momentum into a victory in that ladder match next week to become the number one contender to the NXT Women's Championship.
What strikes me about Dakota, when we had her and Raquel on before the cage match, and also I should mention that to my Tegan point, the cage match also factors in as well for Tegan Nox if she needs any more motivation. However, what I was struck by about Dakota, and I talk about this with you a lot in terms of what I look for in people that I really get behind and believe in, is that she had at this point, some vindication over Tegan Nox, but she was still as bitter and disdainful, if that's a thing, towards Tegan over thinking that Tegan was getting X and Y over Dakota. And the fact that Dakota had gotten one over on her in every sense of the word did not change anything about Dakota Kai's mentality. And for as unpopular as mentalities like that can be at times, they are the mentalities of champions. I do not know if she gets it done next week. And there's 4 other people in that match who are totally capable of winning. I lean towards Tegan, but I still see that and sense that in Dakota, that she's not letting off the gas just because she's gotten some major victories as of late.
I also want to say this, based on what we saw from her last week and her health, I feel like I've completely overlooked Io Shirai, and that's not correct to do ever.
Yep.
The fact that she is over the knee injury and then heading into a ladder match, I'm sure there's going to be a target on that knee. But she was showing herself off on social media last week going, look at my leg. It goes all the way up in the air that way, and there's no problem whatsoever. I'm the genius of the sky. You're all going to lose to me. So let's not overlook you. Right? Let's not overlook anybody in this matchup. But you're picking Tegan. I'm picking Dakota. I really think it's anybody's matchup. Nobody comes in with me going, well, the lights are a little too bright. This is a first-time opportunity. I don't think that way at all. I'm really looking forward to this matchup next week.
As am I. A matchup I was really looking forward to tonight kicked off the show. Velveteen Dream and Bobby Fish. And so we talk about statements all the time. Velveteen Dream made a statement, but I am still just fascinated by the dynamics of what's going to happen with all of this between Velveteen, the Undisputed Era, and specifically NXT champion Adam Cole. Your thoughts on what you saw tonight and maybe even the broader picture?
Well, I will say this, and this is probably going to make me a lot of enemies in our chat. I agreed with Sam Roberts because I've been saying the same thing about Velveteen Dream is what has he done to justify an NXT championship matchup with Adam Cole? He lost to Roderick Strong in the cage. That was his choice, but he lost there. And I think of Mr. Regal, I think of GM Regal, and while he does acknowledge the personal rivalries and the animosity that happens, he is also one that believes you should earn your championship opportunities. However, when you defeat Bobby Fish and the way he did it tonight, there is a step in the correct direction. Bobby Fish, a former multiple-time NXT Tag Team Champion, arguably part of the greatest tag team in NXT history, along with Kyle O'Reilly. I'm very impressed by that victory. So that's step one. I don't know if it's going to be Dream now looking to go next. What's next on his list? Is it Kyle O'Reilly? Does he think that's enough? I'm interested to see what Mr. Regal has to say. But I don't know if we're there yet, but I think Dream is heading in the right direction. And I think Adam Cole, supremely confident. I just spoke to him yesterday. He is never worried. But he is certainly probably his interest is a bit more piqued after he saw Bobby Fish lose tonight.
I agree. I was talking about this with Evan when we hopped on here last week after NXT. I don't know if this is becoming a scenario where the Dream will have to run through the entire Undisputed Era to get to Adam Cole. I don't know. However, I will tell you this. Sometimes you and I disagree, but we're lock in step on this one. If nothing else, I do think the Dream for me should have to defeat Roderick Strong. Because it doesn't matter that he chose to lose the match to me. He did lose the match. So, and listen, maybe Mr. Regal disagrees, and that's fine. Who the heck am I? I'm a dumb talk show host. But, for me, I would be surprised if sometime in the immediate future, the decision is that Velveteen Dream will immediately be getting an opportunity at Adam Cole, strictly because if nothing else, we're at a +1, -1 equal situation. He lost to Roderick. He just defeated Bobby Fish. I think for me, and knowing, Mr. Regal, just from what I see, I don't know him personally, but just from what I see, there will need to be a little bit more to make an even more compelling case for the Dream, but he is well on his way.
I think we ask here, everybody watching, do you think Velveteen Dream should be the next in line for Adam Cole's NXT Championship? Has he done enough to earn a championship opportunity? We'd love to hear what you guys say in the comments. Like I said, I don't think he's there quite yet. I would think Adam Cole, as a longtime champion, now the longest reigning NXT champion, by the way, congratulations to Mr. Adam Cole. Bebe. I would have to think that he has enough clout to say, 2-1, Mr. Regal, the general manager of NXT, he's got to go through more. And I would think Mr. Regal, while he's had his disagreements with Adam Cole, could also say, you know what? You're right, Adam. He should have to go through more. Some people are saying no. Some people are saying Velveteen is the guy right now, and he should be the one that gets that next opportunity at the NXT Championship. But keep sounding awful. Keep an eye on these. I can see why people are split in this conversation.
Credence to both arguments. And again, just because you and I see it one way does not mean that Mr. Regal will see it that way, and also does not mean that we are correct. I want to make that very clear.
Mr. Regal is always correct, by the way.
There's that too. Wall games. There's that too. That's the thing I like. So one other, I think, really big piece of news that we have to get to today. Do you know where I'm going, Matt Camp?
Yeah, well, it was a great first about 15 minutes of the show, maybe 20 minutes of the show tonight. Yes.
Our friend Mackenzie Mitchell was in another.
Her.
She talked to a certain man who runs a certain enterprise, a certain man who I would love to have on our program, WWE's The Bump, at any time. a certain man that, would you like to see Malcolm Bivens, is the man I'm discussing, on the bump?
Did you see us all on the show tonight? We were all there together. It was so awesome. Look at that. Look at that. Look at all of us hanging out together. Those giant human beings behind me. Mackenzie was there, I guess. And there's my great friend, my longtime friend. If you remember, Ryan, all the way back, think about this. The first day NXT debuted on USA Network was the day that the bump debuted on WWE Network, on YouTube, where you should be watching it every single Wednesday at 10 a.m. Eastern, live on the WWE Network on YouTube. You should be following us.
Social platforms all over the wazoo.
All over at WW The Bump. And that day, we went from Stamford, Connecticut in the Bump studio. We took a flight down to Orlando. Yeah. We went right to Full Sail. And we did a watch-along. And the first person to appear on one of our Instagram little preparation promos was who? It was Malcolm Bivens. And then for the last half hour of that show, that watch-along, I sat with the great Malcolm Bivens telling me about T-shirts and preparation and working out, the combine records he set. My goodness, the combine records he set. Some guy named Peter Young still talks about that all the time. It's unbelievable. So now, as I've been trying for months and months and months, is to get Malcolm on the bump. And I think, as he posted, he has a very long list of demands. He already came up with his own graphic. I am aware that it is April 1st, so I assume he doesn't believe in April Fool's Day. But the dominance that he is already showing, and now the backup he has, Ryan, which is probably more important to us, because I am not messing with those giant human beings that are backing him up.
Nah, I don't.
Bivens Enterprises. I was an original investor, and that is why I cannot wait to finally make this happen. I don't know if it's next week. I don't know if it's 2 weeks, but it is not going to happen soon enough to get Malcolm Bivens on the bump. I was always a supporter of Bivens Enterprises.
The Matt Camp 100 there, and all of it was vicious lies. Give the man a slammy.
Go back and watch all the old bumps I was on, and we never said he couldn't come on. Kayla loved Malcolm Bivens.
One of us actually said he was always was welcome, and I hope that's recalled when I bump into Bivens Enterprises as they continue to make their put their thumbprint on NXT.
Sure.
Listen, I don't know.
So I'm trying to find more great pictures of us together. Go ahead, please.
Open up Photoshop. So I don't know. I don't know how the NXT Tag Team division will take shape here over this next stretch of time with Pete Dunne and Matt Riddle in separate locales. Yeah. However, with that knowledge withstanding that we don't maybe have enough knowledge to know how it will come together, I do know that Bivens Enterprises is now – we talk about who's in the discussion for what championship. Bivens Enterprises is in the discussion for the NXT Tag Team Championship, if for no other reason than we've had the chance to talk to Matt Riddle and Pete Dunne, and I don't think they're going to be any too pleased with how Malcolm Bivens and company are handling their business, and I think they would fight them just for the sake of fighting them because they're going to be ready to fight. Granted, while that is all credit to Malcolm Bivens for understanding how those dynamics work.
Yes, that is saying we're going to go right to the top. And listen, all the fun and games aside here, that is someone who always is going to shoot high. He's not going to settle. He's not a believer in working his way up. His mouth needs to now, write these checks that his men now have to cash. And that's the key here. You're going to shoot real high when you go after Matt Riddle. And I know there's a bit of a history there between Malcolm Bivens and Matt Riddle. But the key is that Matt Riddle is one half of the NXT Tag Team Champions right now. Yep. I feel like the always contenders are Undisputed Era. I feel like they're a bit preoccupied now. I think Malcolm Bivens is well aware of that, saying, okay, the guys who always have those gold around their waist, they got other things going on right now. They're doing other stuff. This is our chance to strike. Pete Dunne is nowhere near Full Sail. He's nowhere near
even more of a reason to strike.
Let's go get him now. So now it's the next step, and now it's his chance to prove, and he's going to make some stuff happen. Bivens Enterprises is bad news for Matt Riddle.
100%. And so those were my primary takeaways from tonight's. One additional one was you just completely schmoozing for Malcolm Bivens, and all of it was just factually inaccurate. But neither here nor there. Let's talk about next week, Camper.
Yes.
Because there are two not takeover-worthy matches, two takeover matches that we are getting on USA Network next week. We are getting the ladder match to determine the next contender for the NXT Women's Championship, at which point we will know who the NXT Women's Champion is. We've discussed that a little bit. And then we are getting Blackheart versus Rebel Heart. One final beat. I'm still not sure where. I'm still not exactly sure what we're going to see. I just know that I'm excited. I'm beyond intrigued. I'm also a little nervous because I saw what they did with a performance center where they knew where they were going to be and they knew how they felt. Yes, please. No, for sure.
I have something.
I am fascinated to know where this will take place. I was even just imagining earlier, like, imagine just like a several story warehouse. Like, what could happen there? What could happen? You mentioned the old FCW arena. Like, I mean, who knows where this will take place? But I'm just genuinely curious and intrigued to see what happens.
We mentioned what the referee will be there for. I don't think he's going to have one of these. I'll tell you that right now. You can just throw that away.
Shout out to Mr. Camp.
I don't know what you're talking about. Me, I am Mr. Camp. I don't think there's a 10 count. I don't think there's a 20 count. I don't think there's a 5 count. There's a 3 count maybe to end this match. There's a tap out maybe. There's a KO maybe. I don't know how this will end. Is this the Hollywood backlot brawl from WrestleMania 12 where at some point it's just like, this thing is over, okay?
Yeah.
We're just going to call it right there. Is this someone literally just walking away from a body that's in a heap? I don't know because I don't know how you say there's a definitive end. This is what Triple H is saying. I joked about it on the bump today that he's tired of paying repairs for the Performance Center, and he's not letting those guys rip that place up again because they're having WrestleMania there this weekend. But all joking aside, this has got to end. And between these two guys, I know there's some people that go, keep it going. Let it keep going forever. There is no way to end this. I would have to think that the cerebral assassin, the creator, the king of kings, the game, he has been in these situations before. He knows how bad this could get. And I think, to me, Ryan, this is not about protecting these two men. I think he is trying to protect NXT as a brand and not let these two break it apart with something that goes deeper than championships, something that has been going on for years, roles and flip-flops, whatever you want to say, motivations and flip-flop. The championship, they've hurt each other. They've cost each other the NXT championship. Now, that's all on the side. So I don't know where you put these two guys to end this thing. I think that adds to the intrigue. But if Triple H says it's going to be over, then it's going to be over next week. Don't ask me to pick anybody because I don't know if there will be a survivor, not a winner of this match.
Yeah, I don't think we have enough, exactly. I don't think we have enough intel to make a pick. But no, I think that's really insightful on your part because Triple H and Shawn Michaels did a version of this. Their version was called Hell in a Cell. And it was one of the more really barbaric and brutal Hell in a Cell matches in history. In theory, this is different. This is not the same, but it's got a similar tone to it in the sense that we are going to walk into a location, and at least according to Triple H, when one of them walks out, we are going to settle this. And I get that logic. And again, like you said, no one understands that better than Triple H. So yeah, Kemper, I'm fascinated by it. I don't exactly know what we're going to see, but I think it's going to be rather memorable.
This is very rare that WrestleMania is this weekend, and we have 2 matches we're talking about next week that have massive implications. These are happening, obviously, with everything that's gone on, and TakeOver unable to happen as scheduled this weekend, and the match is happening next week, and we saw one tonight with the North American Championship. So the fact that we're talking about 2 huge matches for the future of NXT happening next week is adding that much more intrigue to next week because we don't know what's going to happen, especially with that. But before all that, Ryan, we do have that, massive show, the 2-night show, WrestleMania this weekend.
The only WrestleMania too big for just one night. Kicks off this Saturday, 7 p.m., streaming on WWE Network. Let's not forget, before that, we got a little thing called SmackDown this Friday night. the literal final stop before WrestleMania. Fascinated to see what that will be like. Never before have we had a SmackDown, a show the night before WrestleMania where you'll see in-ring action. It's actually the first of its kind, and I'm very, very intrigued. And so, yeah, I mean, listen, we talked about WrestleMania a bit today on the bump, and we're going to talk a lot of WrestleMania this weekend on the bump. As before WrestleMania and before each night's respective kickoff, we have 2 nights of bump, 2 days of bump, 1 p.m.
Wherever you are.
Streaming live on WWE Network, streaming live on all our social platforms at WWE The Bump, YouTube, the whole kit and caboodle. And we have a loaded lineup of guests. And man, can I just tell you something, Matt? I'm excited for WrestleMania. Is that okay?
Yes.
I think it's okay.
Here's part of the reason you should be excited. 2 episodes of The Bump on Saturday, on Sunday, both at 1 p.m. Eastern. We'll be talking to Drew McIntyre. We'll be talking to Charlotte Flair. We'll be talking to Kevin Owens. We'll be talking to Lacey Evans. We'll be talking to Zelina Vega. And we'll be talking to Mojo Rawley. Right there, Ryan, I just named 6 big-time guests, 4 of whom will be involved in championship matches. Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins goes deep. It was related to the Performance Center. And then Mojo Rawley, I would assume he is going to be very involved in some way, shape, or form, helping Gronk host the festivities of WrestleMania. So get in there, join us, because a lot of these are returning guests. So we do have a good rapport with Drew, who was with us 3 days after he won the Royal Rumble, was one of our first guests. Lacey Evans, I think, really kind of turned a corner in her career as it relates to the fans and the WWE Universe with her first appearance on the bump. I feel like I have not left Charlotte alone for about 2 months now. Also one of our first guests.
Me neither.
But, you were with her doing Watch Along the other night for WrestleMania. I'm going to be with her tomorrow. Here, I'll tell you this. I am hosting Dream Match Mania. You'll see her against Beth Phoenix.
Another important thing, yes.
There.
A fun thing
we'll get
too,
to that in a second. But all of these guests, I'm excited to have them all. Zelina Vega making her first appearance, and we'll find out, hopefully, how Austin Theory became one of her newest clients, replacing Andrade. Yeah. By the way, going right into WrestleMania, right into a Raw Tag Team Championship match, making history on his own. So all of that coming your way this weekend. But yes, Ryan, Dream Match Mania is tomorrow, and it is streaming across all of our platforms. There are 6 matches announced. There are 6. We have the one I think that I think is the impetus for this whole thing. John Cena is going against Hulk Hogan tomorrow. Okay, that is happening.
It's a big deal. It's happening tomorrow.
WWE 2K20. I am joined on that one by R-Truth and Drake Maverick, which I could not have scripted. I could not have put that together any better.
It's the Monsoon and Heenan of our time.
And I'm just there. I am Rob Bartling it up, baby. I'm just going to try and provide a little extra commentary and get the hell out of the way.
Yes.
How much does this guy weigh? I'm orthodox. Hope he's
yes.
Charlotte Flair, a future Hall of Famer, taking on a current and reigning, an all-time Hall of Famer in Beth Phoenix. And by the way, we'll have both of them as part of the commentary for that.
Their virtual match, which is exciting. Keep going. Yep.
Something that I know you are looking forward to. Hall of Famer, all-time great, Trish Stratus taking on your favorite, Sasha Banks.
I can't wait for this.
Providing commentary. Bailey providing commentary.
My role models providing commentary as one of my role model takes on. I mean, in terms of dream matches left in my life, I've had to make a very, very short list of matches I most want to see. It's right near the top, right near the very, very top.
Here's another one. A battle of errors, I am calling it. Seth Rollins taking on Ric Flair. And by the way, this is the 1988 version of Ric Flair, which you can download for WWE 2K20. And with that one, how about this pair? Couple of students of the game. Calling that match with me are Johnny Gargano and Adam Cole Bebe. So that is tremendous.
Fun. Yeah.
A match that people have been asking for since they heard about it, since the one man in this match asked for it on the New Day pod. Feel the power. It's going to happen. It is Big E and Goldberg.
Goldberg, yes.
Big E and Kofi Kingston will be joining me for that one. And
this is fun.
Here's another one. Some of these are dream matches that we won't get to see. Some of them are dream matches that'll happen on Dream Match Mania, but maybe could still happen down the road. And this is one that people might want to see. Oh, I don't know, at a WrestleMania down the road. Roman Reigns and The Rock.
It's in
By the way,
in the lane of possibility. Yes.
it is the $500 shirt version of The Rock, which is corporate Rock to me. So we go to the Bloodline for a little help for this. The Usos will be calling that match with me. So those 6 big matches are coming your way at Dream Match Mania tomorrow, streaming across all of our platforms. Hashtag Dream Match Mania to get in the conversation. This is going to be a lot of fun. And what better way to lead us into WrestleMania than Dream Match Mania?
Dream Match Mania. We got SmackDown. In the midst of WrestleMania weekend, don't forget WrestleMania 35 on ESPN. And so just too much stuff. Too much good stuff. You know what? Never too much, though. I can't wait. NXT next week. This was super fun. And then, yes, the creme de la creme. Let's say it one more time because I could keep saying it until we get there. This Saturday, the only WrestleMania too big for just one night. Night 1 kicks off 7 p.m. Eastern, streaming on WWE Network. And before that, catch us on the bump as we talk about it. I can't wait for any of this, Camper.
We got more fun coming on Instagram, by the way. Tomorrow, we'll have Rhea Ripley, the NXT champion, a women's champion, with our own Kayla Braxton on the Braxton Beat. And then SmackDown on Friday, it's Mackenzie Mitchell and Evan Mack. And then, of course, like you said, 2 episodes of The Bump Saturday and Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern. Loaded guest list: Drew McIntyre, Charlotte Flair, Kevin Owens, Zelina Vega, Mojo Rawley, Lacey Evans. And we'll have a lot of fun.
Can't wait.
It's the road to WrestleMania. We went from sailing to back on the road, and it's this weekend, Ryan. It was fun, and I don't know what's going to happen over the next couple of days, and that's what makes this fun as well.
No, I can't wait. I can't wait to talk about it with you and everybody else on the bump. I can't wait. And there's even more. Drew McIntyre's Chronicle, Edge has 24, both of those dropping on WWE.
Untold Shawn Michaels and Kurt Angle from WrestleMania 21.
If you are a WWE Universe member, which you are because you're watching this, we are about to enter upon a 4 or 5 day stretch, really a week stretch, because NXT next week, like we said. Let's have fun. Let's have fun.
Yes.
Let's enjoy it. I can't wait to talk about everything on the bump. I can't wait for day 2 on the bump. We can recap everything on day 1. We're still going to have an entire WrestleMania card to look forward to. There's so much fun stuff.
One more. The bump is now in podcast form. You'll probably see that, I think, tomorrow. There's a little extra here as well.
There's that. All right. We could, Camp and I could literally do this all night. Sometimes we do. It's just in text form. Thank you to everyone for watching. Tune into everything we just said. We're going to have so much fun this next week. It is the bump sign.
Yeah, that's the bump sign. I have it everywhere. Listen, stop this. There you go. Now watch the bump. Join us for WrestleMania. Here's the key, Ryan. I think you say this all the time. We'll see you on the internet.
Well, yeah, we're the internet. We're on it right now. I can't wait. We're gonna have a ton of fun. Thanks to everyone for tuning in tonight. Let's enjoy these next 7 days, and let's enjoy WrestleMania this weekend. We will catch you when we catch it. Camp, thanks you, and we will talk to you guys soon. Bye.